Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another video, and another slime video, my bad. And we are going to go into the third and final stage of the three-way battle event. This is the Burst Battle, which is an 8-turn stacking fight. So, I mean, burst damage and stacking don't really go together in my eyes. But Miran has 3.7 million HP, pretty high defense, resistance to stun, and then nerfs Synergy and Aegis. So you're looking for crit or pierce stacking teams, okay? Heals herself, binds and poisons. Alright, we have a Heartscape for that. Invincibility, probably on turn 5 for the sword gimmick and everything. And then decreases our defense and raises her own attack. So you can use any color orb, but she's got 120 synergy power nerf and synergy resistance for 120. There's really no way you can overcome that unless you're doing like control stuff. But I'm certain you can. Like if you want to use Warrior's Mind with the hero and Sokka or something like that could work, but that's pretty much the only way you're going to be able to do that. Or same thing with Aegis power for like Jean and Aegis resistance down from Velzard. But ideally you're going for a pierce or a crit team. Starting hand is a 2-2-2 spread, and the missions are the same as the other stages. Everyone alive 3 times, all physical, all magic, 2 free-to-play characters, and win in 7 turns or less. Okay. Well, 3.7 honestly is not that much. If you have the new Mills team or some semblance of it, like you'll be just fine. So let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, so the first team is going to be the Dragon Haki team. The current team stacking works very well here. We're running the full meta. Now, you don't need the full meta. It is the full physical, but we are lacking another free-to-play character. You could swap like Rimuru and Velzard out for someone. One free-to-play character and one like other support character, I guess, because you can't. Velzard you can kind of use without Rimuru, but Rimuru like he's just not that good. So, if you want, you could leave Trishula, take Rimuru out for like the OG Masked Hero or something, since you can crit this stage, or you can bring the Divine General here and you could pierce this stage. You could do either or, and then you could bring like Tempest League Gobta or someone for your second free-to-play character, because he's got a orb change and a alt convert to blues. So there's a number of ways you can do this, but Milim being single target and being able to do weak point damage even to type or non-element enemies means that she will be a very, very good nuker here. And we're gonna go to like turn 6 or something, because we don't need to do our maximum power damage to get the stage done. Miran has like 4 million HP, less than that, like 3.7 or something. Yeah, we don't need every single buff on this team to do that. We just need to kind of get there. Now, Miran, if you're a bit lower in level, could be a bit difficult to deal with because of the bind, because of the poison, and then on turn, I think 6, she frostbites and poisons and binds you again, and then she ults you. So more often than not, I think a newer player gonna attempt this fight without the best gear might have difficulty killing, because you're probably gonna need all of your skills to nuke on turn 8, but I don't know if you can get there. So you might want to equip a heal charm on Protector of Eldora if you have it, or replace one of your damage support characters for a healing unit like Wind Lumi or something like that, or some kind of defensive character like Water Soe, just to give yourself a little bit extra defense. Because if you can make it to turn 8 and you have the triple damage increase and all that, and a Mills is fully buffed up, like you're gonna be okay. You just have to make sure you can get to that point. So there's a lot of different characters you can bring in and out of this team to make it work, depending on how powerful you are, how likely you are to kill early or on turn 8, and how defensive you're able to be. Here, it works out pretty well for us, so we almost have an EX ult. Taking counters is very not productive to us surviving, but again, we're not going to go to the maximum turn limit. We're just going to get an EX ult with Milim, and enough points to do some of the buffs. So We've already transformed with the mills, but this is his last turn. Let's go ahead and do his second stack, and then we'll do the multi-combo, or the combo additions for both him and Trishula, and then we'll just send the mills away. And we can bring him back in next turn if we want to nuke. We're going to nuke on turn 6 because that's when the ult resistance goes away for Mirren. You can see it blinking up top. So that's like 80% resistance. So unless you have a way to counter that with a whole butt ton of ult damage, which technically we do, really counterproductive to try and nuke into that. So just wait until turn 6 there. And boom. Alright. We have 322 points. We have an EX ult with Milim. We've got a double Veldora stack, which is another 50% attack. And we have enough points to use a couple different buffs. Not all of them, but a couple. So we'll do the Rimuru and Velzard buff, and then we'll kind of pick where we want to go for Milim. We decide to go with the physical and the attack buff instead of the Milim Eye skill, the Dragon Eye skill. Either way, like, we're going to be okay. So we'll go ahead and send these two, and Milim does 8.5 million damage. More than double what Mirren had at full HP. So that goes to show you that, yeah, you don't need the entire meta to do it. You can use lower tier options to make it work for you, Warrior's Mind Guy or something, and you can bring a free-to-play character and miss out on a damage support buff and still be okay. Alright, or you could just not stack, and you could use something like the Scourge Wielder team, or the Warrior's Mind team. I didn't record a Warrior's Mind run, but I guarantee you it'll do it. But Scourge Wielder, you don't even have to nuke. If your 200% orange buffs and all the 3-turn buffs that this team has means that your normal orbs are going to do 3.5 million damage, just straight up. And then you add the chaos on top of that, and it becomes quite easy. So let's skip ahead. So turn 1, we're going to use the free-to-play Gobta to convert into blues. That way we can get access to Amnesia on turn 1. Kigali is here as our other free-to-play character. Another full physical mission is done here. So let's bring in Masayuki, let's bring in the hero, and then at that point, you know, it is just building up points. So 1, 2, 3, 4 gets us to Amnesia. That's the most important part. And as soon as you can use like the light buff and the physical buff from Lumi alongside the 150% buff from Amnesia, it becomes quite funny. So we'll just do a stack of chaos here and then the orange buff. We just need to build up. We didn't send a full hand of oranges or blues or whatever, so we didn't have that many points to pull from. So I couldn't use like the light buff as well if I wanted to. So let's just send this. Now we have 180 points on turn 3. Now we can use a couple different things. So chaos for 50k. Alright, cool. The bind is there. Not a big deal. We can go ahead and either use the Heartscape Veldora to escape the bind, or we can just burn some points. So let's just go ahead and do that instead. We're not really losing much here. So there's the heal. Okay, Masayuki's Golden Ult. We have 210 points. So what we're going to do, and we also don't want a synergy, so we don't want to use the hero's debuff at all, because that would actively work against us. So let's use the light and dark buff. Alright. Let's bring in Kigali for Masayuki, and then we could use the orange and the physical attack buff, and then we could use Amnesia. And now that we have all that going on for us, we're going to do quite a bit of damage on this turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So boom, boom, boom. Yeah, we're doing 200k, almost 300k a hit right there. And then we Aegis for 1, unfortunately. And then Chaos did over 500,000. So yeah, it can work. We don't really want to ult here because it really wouldn't do anything for us. So let's just go ahead and bring Masayuki in for the hero. Even though, well, actually, hero doesn't have any orbs. That's fine. So another chaos, another physical buff, the orange buff, the rewind. And now we're going to be looking pretty good. The ults aren't going to do anything because of the 80% ult resistance. And we have no ult damage to counteract that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Lumi's ult does 148, pretty bad. Masayuki's ult 124, pretty bad. But then we have these attacks minus that synergy coming in, and then the 200% orb does 500,000, and then the chaos does 1.5 million damage. So You really don't want to ult until that ult resistance goes away, but you can rely on other things to get the job done. And if this team can do it, obviously the Warriors Mind team can get it done with their debuffs and their debuffing. They're not synergy focused, they're Pierce focused, which works very well for them, so that will also work. Alright, next up is the Danmachi team, which is a full magic team, and it's got 2 free-to-play characters in Traya and Soka. Now this team, I mean, depending on who you have, we're going to nuke with Ice. You might want to go to turn 8 just to make sure you have enough power because of the Pierce power from Bell. The Pierce rate doesn't activate till turn 8. So if you're finding it difficult to nuke before then, you might as well just go to turn 8. And as long as you can survive that long, then you'll most likely be okay. But turn 1, we'll go ahead and use pretty much almost everything here. Yeah, I mean, the personal buff from Ice that she stacks, the weakness strike doesn't matter here because we're type neutral. The wind attack, I mean, does matter, yes, but it's not like we're in a beatdown battle where she has type advantage. So you don't have to min-max it quite as much as what you would normally do. But with the traits activated, we get access to Hestia, which takes care of most of our conversion here. Not everything, but we have 110 extra points, so we could use Shuna to convert and alt rush and then do the green buff. And we always want to be sending alts with Bell every turn because even though we're not getting weakness strike from his alts, we are getting the stacking alt damage. So it's, 20% every time we send it? That is important. And not having orbs for Ice, not a big deal because Shuna's going to rush us, so it's not the end of the world. We do want to make sure that we are using a couple stacks of Soka, because it's Pierce power or it's Pierce down, and it's magic attack. That does help your nuking character. And if you don't have Ice, but you have Ryu, the same thing works. It's just you want to leave Ryu up front the entire time so we can get that stacking skill point effect. If you don't have Ice or Ryu, you can just use some other magic single target nuking character. You could use the Divine General Blanc or Raphael if you pick them up from the Anniversary Coin Shop in the ticket. Or, yeah, summon them with tickets. Like, that'll work. They're still magic characters. They're still single target. They'll still technically work. I mean, Ice is pretty selfish on this team. Everyone else is doing stuff for her, and she's doing her own thing. So you could use Raph and have the space buff and the stacking alt damage, or you could use Blanc and just have the big time 150% alt damage that will stack alongside what Bell's doing. So either way that will work, or you could use a slightly older 5-star EX single target nuking character. I mean, everyone's going to get the Pierce power buff, and everyone's going to get the element buff from Hestia, so it really is just up to who you have in the box. Another team that I don't show in this video, but will certainly work, would be the Tails collab team, with Hinata being the single target nuker, or even Alphen, if you give him enough support. The free-to-play one, he's got the 200% personal ult buff. You give him the crit, you give him some other things. Give him the super crit and all that from Velzard and Rimuru, maybe, the new ones. That'll work too, but if you have Xion, you're already getting the guaranteed crits and 110%. And you can bring in like a magic attack buffing character or something. But the Tails team will also work as a full magic team. You could bring another magic free-to-play character alongside Alpha to get that mission done. But since this is a stacking fight, the teams generally take a little bit longer, so I don't want to make this video like an hour long and trying to show 10 different teams. I also don't want to make a second video on this, because I'm lazy. And we have the new meta coming in like 2 days, so I'll have other things to make videos on. But this team is a bit slow, unfortunately. We're using a lot of skills here. Ice has her ult in the back. Yeah, has her EX ult in the back. We're looking good here. We have 2 more turns to go until we get access to the Pierce power for Bell. We just need to make sure everyone survives. So we can bring Ice in. We could use her her personal buff now, her big time one, and we're actually going to nuke a bit early, just to see how much damage we do here, because I'm curious. Do we even need to go to turn 8 for the Pierce power with Bell? Sadly, the answer is yes, because as you'll soon see, the damage is not there. Ice does 1 million damage. Okay, so the wind attack and the aerial buff and all that, and the stacking element from Hestia, maybe the few stacks of magic attack we've gotten from Sokka, definitely not enough to get the job done. So we're going to need to spend a little bit of time here and get another ult for Ice. She's got 2 orbs here. All right, cool. We could green buff and ult rush, and then we could use Hestia to either ult rush again or green buff. I think the 2 orbs will get her the EX ult. So we're looking good. 1, 2, 3, 4, or not the EX ult, but a normal ult. And then next turn we'll have access to the Pierce, and that will ensure that we're able to kill. So, I mean, we do have the aerial stance for 3 turns, though. So we're going to do okay damage on the normal orb here. And then as long as we don't die from the poison and the frostbite and the ult, we're okay. Belle's almost dead, and so is Shuna. But we're going to be okay. So Pierce, stack with Belle, another stack of wind attack from Ice, another stack of element damage, or element attack from Hestia. And if you want, you could do a stack of Sokka. But now we do 3.8 million, which would be enough to kill at full HP. And that wasn't even an EX ult. So we definitely do need to go to turn 8 to get access to the Pierce buff with Belle. But the Danmachi team can do it. And the last team I have for you today is going to be the 3.5 anniversary Spirit Master team, but with a few substitutions. We can't use Velzard because they have Murin has the Aegis resistance, and there's no real point in bringing Jean at that point either. So we've got 2 different masked heroes. We've got the Protector, and then we've got the Pierce Divine General hero that maybe you got from your tickets or your selector. We've got free-to-play Ritus and Rieger from the Prosper meta. We've got Leon for the ult and the EX ult damage and the orb changing, and then our true nuking character is going to be Divine General Raphael, because he can stack ult damage, and he has the space attack, and he'll get the EX ult and normal ult, and he'll get the Pierce from the hero. This works out very well, and it's better to bring him than like Blanc, because we are already getting ult damage from Leon, so there's no real point. You can use anyone you want to nuke again as your single target. Unfortunately, Leon by himself is not strong enough to kill. He'll do like 2 million damage or something with this kind of team setup, and I think I brought Violet, like Visions of Koli's Violet for extra magic. It was pretty unimpressive, honestly. So that's why we brought another character with a strong personal buff. That, well, in this case it's personal because he's not really buffing anyone else on the team. But Raphael was definitely necessary to get the job done. And again, you could bring some other magic single target character as long as they've got a pretty good buff. Going back to what I said, even though I brought Violet and she had an EX ult as well, it wasn't enough to kill because Violet's pretty old. And we're already getting magic attack from the hero stacks, so it's not the most impactful thing in the world to double stack that, unfortunately. So bringing another buff for Raphael with the space attack was the play here. But we are going to go the full 8 turns to do so. Thankfully, since the hero is healing us, or at least all the charge characters, we don't really have to worry about people dying, thankfully, from the pierce, or from the poison and the frostbite, and the binding is a bit unfortunate, but Rieger can double alt swap here. And we have 3 different orb changers. We have the rewind with the hero as well that we can use if we want to. It'll have a little bit of an alt rush, so if like Leon or Rimuru are a bit low on their alt gauge halfway through the fight, you could attempt to use that once you have enough points to do so. But honestly, you shouldn't have any problem getting alt because the hero is also giving you alt gauge at the same time as her healing you. So there's no... I don't really see a benefit to using this hero's rewind. I do use it for funsies, but I don't really think we gain much out of it. So there we go. There's the rewind. There's the alt rush. We'll bring a Rieger in, and we can alt swap, double stack with the hero, full hand of blues. We still have access to a couple different orb changes for the rewind turn, so we might be able to get like 1 extra stack of the hero. Is that super important? Not really. It's only, I think, 10% magic attack that we're getting from her. it's not the biggest thing in the world. But if you are just missing a little bit extra damage to kill because you're using some kind of team and your build isn't quite as powerful, then yeah, that stack would come in handy. But let's convert. Let's do another stack of Raphael, because remember, he's stacking permanent alt damage, which works alongside Leon's buffs. So that is just an extra amount of power that Raphael is able to bring. So let's send 5 blues. Okay, cool. We get that. Not enough for a full hand, but oh well. This hand works out. We can take Ritas away, and we can bring in Rieger again. Rieger is a pretty good free-to-play character for any blue stacking team, because he's got the orange convert, he's got the generic double alt swap. Doesn't matter what element you are, and that's just really powerful. So the triple orb change with Leon gives us the full hand of blues, and we have this turn and next turn to stack, and then turn 8 we will nuke at maximum power. So we're doing 14k a hit. Yeah, 14k. Still not a lot. This team is half a year old now, though, and it's using characters that were not meant to be used here. Alright. So, 1 turn left. We are poisoned and binded, but because we've been healing the entire time, we're not truly in danger. We don't have to use the Heartscape to escape it. You can if you want, but it's a bit unnecessary for us. So let's just do our double stack with the hero, and then we will nuke next turn with Raphael and Leon. And I think I send Leon first just to show you how much damage he does by himself with just the Pierce and the alt and EX alt. It's not that much damage, unfortunately, as you would like to think. So, boom. Now, turn 8 comes in. We'll take Rieger out for the hero. The hero's not going to do really any kind of damage here. So 1, 2, 3, and another stack, and an orb change just to give us a full hand, just for funsies. And then 1 more stack of the Protector hero to get us another 10% magic attack. Yeah, okay. Long fight, but 1, 2, 3. Oh, actually don't get to... So the hero does, like, 116, yeah, pretty terrible. Raphael does 2.7, and Leon does 1.2. Okay, so it's even worse. So you see 1.2 million damage with an EX alt, with the alt damage, EX alt damage, the Pierce buff from the hero, and then the magic stacks from the Masked Hero Protector. And we only did 1.2 million with Leon. That goes to show that you need another character to help buff. Preferably someone with a strong buff the team doesn't have. But this team can do it. You can't bring Diablo because synergy is nerfed. Again, bringing Blanc would conflict with Leon's buff, so that doesn't really do you a lot of good there. Bring some other strong single target nuker. But that's all I have for you today. If you used any other teams, and there are plenty of teams that will get this done easily as well, a lot of blue stacking teams can do this from before this year as well. But whatever you use, put it down in the comments so other people can check that out. But that's it for me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.